And we are live. Happy Saturday, everybody. My name is Noel, here at Verbal on Life or Fisticuffs, wherever you're watching. And we're glad that we made it to the weekend. Let's be honest. Another year of the Trump presidency. I was just on the phone talking to my friend about the Trump golden age. And the man is a full-blown Democrat. He hates hearing that. And a lot of people in New York hate hearing that we live in the Trump golden age. But you know what? It is what it is. We are. So in this video, let's take a look at all the great things that Trump got accomplished this week, from going up against deep state, even bringing down Obama. It's all over the news, and bringing down the Russiagate, because they really tried to destroy his presidency the first time around with the whole Russiagate scandal. And I don't think we talked enough about that. That and also the illegals. A lot of people got problems with the illegals being deported. The illegal criminals, because breaking into the country, you're breaking the law. And you know what? Hispanic like myself, I hate that, because my whole family had to make a line, pay a bunch of fees, and do everything the right way just to be here in the greatest country on earth. You know, it's funny, a lot of people don't see this country as the greatest country on earth. This is all they know. Think about that. What other country provides so many benefits? People don't know because they don't travel around the world. All they know is here. And they think that there's something better on the other side. And the grass ain't always greener on the other side. It is hell out of this country. But it's something that you got to experience. Shout out to the Dominican Republic. I married a female from there. Worst decision of my life. But everybody's decision is different. I'm over here trying to start a channel with Odechi. So it's Noel and Odechi, unfiltered. Hopefully you enjoy the case. Now, here's the video we're going to go over. News that is not biased. And away from the lying media, because a lot of people do follow the lying media. I grew up in New York City, Harlem. I followed it, and now I'm woke, real woke. I could see how they were lying.
With Greg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst, and Molly Hemingway, editor-in-chief of The Federalist. Welcome to both of you. Molly Hemingway, you first. What do you make of this thing? I don't know. Treachery, sordid, subversion. I mean, there's all kinds of adjectives can be used. But this was one unsavory, sordid part of American history, that's for sure. How do you see it, Molly?
Objectively speaking, this is the worst scandal we've ever seen from our government in our nation's history. And these recent disclosures of information, I'm sure Greg will agree with me, as people who have covered the Russia collusion hoax for many years, are so helpful at understanding precisely how the hoax got going. And yes, it is this intelligence community assessment that is ordered by Obama at a time when actually the intelligence is suggesting the opposite of what that ICA eventually says, the intelligence community assessment. And what we learned from these documents is that people within the intelligence community were pretty much screaming from the rooftops that they did not believe that the intelligence supported the idea that Putin was trying to help Trump. And yet Brennan and other bad actors just shut them down, ignored them, told them that they were all wet, and just pushed through anyway so that this thing could get going. And of course, it was so damaging.
Information like this would have never gotten out if Trump would have lost. Like everything that happens at that level, at the upper level, politics, we don't know. We are unaware of how much they're lying to the people, how much they're exuding control over our thoughts and everything by lying to us. But now that Trump is in office, everything is out the window. Like, look what they were doing. And look what they're still trying to do, because there's still deep state in there that they got to fight to take control. Because how the hell are you supposed to take control unless you do things how you want it done? And since Trump doesn't have another 4 years to do politics, he's getting everything done now. That only makes sense. All right? So just keep fighting hard. Politics is over for Trump after these 4 years. Well, 3.5 years. But listen up.
To that first Trump administration. It's a really big deal.
I mean, Greg Jarrett, a lot of people, I mean, look, I'm no expert. You wrote a book on the subject. Molly's written about it. I'm just saying a lot of people, even in the intelligence area, even whistleblowers coming to the front now, they said this thing should have been dead and buried a long time ago. The question is, all right, Brennan, sure. Comey, sure. Okay, they probably wanted to resuscitate it. What role did former President Barack Obama play if there was a resuscitation of these phony charges that were, whatever we're going to call them, treacherous or sordid or subversion or whatever? What role did he play?
Role in all of this, overseeing it. And I think President Trump's venom is understandable as directed against Barack Obama. And Comey, Brennan, and Clapper, I call them the three stooges of Obama's national security team. You know, the documents show that all of them were aiding and abetting the scheme cooked up by Hillary Clinton to frame Trump as a Russian asset, even though they knew at the outset it was all fabricated. Here's the thing, Larry. Instead of stepping forward and telling the truth to the American people in the summer of 2016 when they knew it, they kept silent. And they watched as James Comey launched his damaging investigation of Trump without any credible evidence. And these new declassified documents show how they scuttled an intel briefing that concluded there was no Russian interference and conspired to replace it with an intelligence assessment that said just the opposite. And then, to make matters worse, they inserted the phony dossier into that intelligence assessment, pretending it was true, even though the FBI had already debunked it. Clapper then leaked the dossier to CNN, and the mainstream media was often running, convicting Trump in the court of public opinion without ever a shred of any plausible evidence. It truly was the dirtiest trick in American political history.
You know, Molly, I mean, my history here is imperfect, to be sure. But as I recall the story, even before Mr. Trump was inaugurated in January of 2017, even before he was actually sworn in, Comey meets with him, Brennan meets with him. I don't know, Clapper was probably there. I'm not sure who all was there, but those guys were there. And they're telling him he's in deep trouble because of X, Y, and Z, even though X, Y, and Z were a pack of lies and that they had resuscitated those lies. And then later on, we found out that whistleblowers also said that there were a bunch of lies. But they actually went in before he was actually sworn in as president and told him they're going to go after him, and then just plagued most of his first term. I mean, really? How is this possible? How can this go unpunished? That's what I'm asking. I'm not the lawyer. I'm not a cop. I'm a journalist. I just want to know, how can this possibly go unpunished?
Yeah. Well, again, Obama may have immunity for what he did, but that is what is so interesting about this. That meeting that you're talking about was where they delivered this.
He's going to go unpunished, right? He was an ex-president, and it looks better to do anything to the guy. But the way media works in the United States, in my opinion, that's the punishment, right? Messing up his name, speaking bad about him, putting the story out there. That's the punishment. Because now he got to do a comeback. He got to say a couple of few words, or the news got to be on his side. So let's see what he does to come back and have people feel great about him, because he's not running for politics anymore. He's just there to help whoever is running for the Democratic side. So that's the only voice that he got right now. A lot of Democrats listen to him and his opinion on who should be the next leader, the next mayor, governor, president. But that's it. That's the only punishment that Obama is going to see. If you think differently, comment below. But at the end of the day, you can't be an ex-president and see jail time or anything else. Let's keep it real.
Intelligence assessment to Obama and to Trump. The ordering of that assessment was done by Obama precisely so that it could be briefed to Trump and that it could be leaked that it was briefed to Trump. This is what got the entire Russia collusion hoax going. Normally, an intelligence assessment would take months, maybe years to put together. They put it together in 2 weeks precisely so that CNN could leak the details of this dossier and that Trump's presidency could be destroyed. Efforts to destroy a presidency are seditious, and this is a very serious issue for these leaders in the intel community. And I think that they should be much more worried about the legal consequences, unfortunately, than Obama should.
Yes. Well, I love that word, seditious. Got to put that back into the riff. That's a fabulous word. I was groping for that word for the last hour or so. It's absolutely perfect, the word seditious. And Greg Jarrett, I mean, Steele was a lying paid informant who was actually fired. Now, they built that up. Hillary's campaign or the Hillary Foundation or something financed this whole thing. But Brennan knew that, didn't he? Comey knew that, didn't he? Did Obama know that the Steele dossier was a fraud to begin with?
There were two meetings. July 28th was the first one at the White House. Obama was there, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Biden. And, you know, Brennan had rushed over to tell him what Hillary had done, invented this thing, and had commissioned a dossier, was financing it. You know, Steele was triple dipping. He was getting paid by the FBI, by Hillary Clinton's campaign, and the DNC. And at one point in time, you know, the FBI found out he was lying, so they fired him. Well, did Comey tell the FISA court when he sought those warrants to spy? No. He, in fact, vouched for Steele, saying he was credible and reliable.
And this is good news that is coming out. All the information coming out is the only bruise that Obama is going to see, the only punishment that Obama is going to see. And none of this is getting played on the left-wing media. So technically, according to them, he's getting away with murder. Only those of you listening to podcasts and finding out information other ways know the facts, right? And we need more and more people to find out the facts and know the information like this one over here. Let's keep listening.
Liable, and didn't tell the judges, oh, by the way, we fired him. And oh, by the way, we've also debunked the dossier. No, they used it to manipulate the justice system for surveillance purposes on the Trump campaign.
Molly Hemingway, I'm going to jump shift. I'm going to jump shift. The same crowd, the same group of lovelies was at it again with the Hunter Biden laptop cover-up. Same group. Clapper in the lead, Brennan in the lead, 51 intel people. All right, now this is in September-ish of the late September of the 2020 election. They put together whatever 51 intel people say it was all Russian disinformation. Here we go again. Russia continues to play, and they continue to lie. And it turns out the FBI had the damn thing and knew all about it, as did other people. And yet this lie and this cover-up and this left-wing media collusion continued. So, you know, I'm just thinking as we're talking about this, and I'm reading about this in recent days, Molly Hemingway, no wonder President Trump gets pretty angry about this stuff. Here it goes. I mean, you can't blame the guy. I know this is a providential presidency. He's there because God wanted to save him. I get all that. But sometimes you're allowed to get angry. I mean, here it goes all over again. And he believes his own Justice Department should have an objective, analytical view of this whole story. You can't blame him for getting a little angry. Can you, Molly Hemingway? Really?
Well, Larry, not just the president, but a lot of Americans are livid about this as well.
Yes.
And I think it's worth remembering that none of this would be possible without a complicit media that willingly participate in these info ops perpetrated by bad actors in the intelligence community. Some of the same people who uncritically regurgitated the Russia collusion hoax also uncritically regurgitated the lie that Hunter Biden's evidence of family business corruption was a Russian plant. And they do it with other situations as well. They have destroyed Americans' trust, whatever trust they should have had, in the intelligence community because of how they politicized things and because of how the media have gone along with this. And instead of getting awards, they should be ignored. Or in fact, I think maybe some of their role in the Russia collusion hoax might need to be investigated as well.
Seditious, Molly. It's a terrific word. Wish I had thought of it, but we're going to put it to work, give you full faith and credit for it. Thanks to both of you. It's a pleasure to see you both again. Molly Hemingway, Greg Jarrett, we appreciate it very, very much.
Yes, the Department of Justice confirming it has received a criminal referral from DNI Tulsi Gabbard regarding bombshells that the Obama administration manufactured the Russia collusion narrative with Donald Trump, both before and after the 2016 election. The DNI told me initial intelligence showed Russia did not try to change the outcome of the election, and the Obama team knew that. The knowledge was pulled from the president's daily briefing due to what they called updated guidance.
At the same time, I feel that not only Russia tried to get involved in these politics in this country, but it only makes sense that every country try to stick their hands into politics, right? Like, that's powerful if you could have a say in who wins the politics, right? Like, you figured out how to get in there and make some changes, and you get to pick the winner. So I am sure, or I hope, that we got safeguards enough that not to let anybody get involved. I can see even high school kids from this country give it a try and say, you know what, I don't like this system. Let me try to change it. So maybe everybody try, but at the top level with Obama, putting out news to scare the hell out of people, because Russia is like America's boogeyman. Like, Russia is the worst thing that can happen to Americans. And it's so easy to put fear in people by saying Russia did this, Russia did that. Like, they are our number one enemy, and we got to protect ourselves against them. When in reality, the whole world wants to make these changes, right? Change our political system, try to interfere in what we're doing. And here we go, acting like we don't have a say, we don't have protective barriers, we don't have, what's it called, walls against everybody who's trying to interrupt. So I don't think Russia tried to change things at that level, like at a sophisticated level where, like, we should be scared. And now learning this, that Obama played a role in all of this. Hey, there's some Obama no matter what. Democrats that are always going to defend the guy. And they're not going to listen to this news, but listen up.
Guidance. The next day, top national security officials met with Obama's cabinet, where President Obama asked not if, but how Russia tried to upend the election. Here's then President Obama speaking from the briefing room back in 2016. Watch.
At the beginning of the summer, we're alerted to the possibility that the DNC has been hacked. And I immediately order law enforcement, as well as our intelligence teams, to find out everything about it. So if you started seeing effects on the election, you might want to take this into account. We allowed law enforcement and the intelligence community to do its job without political influence. When we had a consensus around what had happened, we announced it, not through the White House, not through me, but rather through the intelligence communities that had actually carried out these investigations.
Did Clinton lose because of the hacking?
I'm going to let all the political pundits in this town have a long discussion about what happened in the election.
Joining me now is Ohio Congressman.
Great Speaker Obama. The man knows how to put words together, have it make sense, and then people believe him, especially the elites. When at the end of the day, I think everybody or a lot of people try to hack the system. And America has a system that they get to block everybody. Let's give it a little bit more trust and not fear the boogeyman, the Russian boogeyman. I can't believe they let that fear get so high. That it still works.
Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Mr. Chairman, always a pleasure. Good to see you. What do you make of watching the deja vu of Barack Obama back in 2016?
Well, I think the former president used the term updated guidance. I think that's a fancy way of saying we changed the story and we did it for political reasons, because that's what it looks like. Never forget, there's 3 key dates here, Maria. December 9th is when they have this meeting in the White House. Clapper, Brennan, McCabe, Comey, the president, they're all there. And they say, okay, we're not going to accept the intelligence community assessment. We're going to change that. And President Obama was just alluding to that. And then you have the date January 3rd. A few weeks later, Chuck Schumer goes on one of the Sunday shows and says, talking about then President-elect Trump, he says, if you mess with the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. And then 3 days later, January 6th, they all go up to Trump Tower to give President Trump what he believes is his incoming defensive briefing as the new, as the president-elect. He thinks he's getting the normal defensive briefing. Instead, it's a setup. They go up there and talk to him about this, and then Comey tells him about the dossier that they already know is baloney. They know it's not true, came from the Clinton campaign and everything else, but they brief him on it so that when that information gets leaked, it has added credibility, because now it was so important that the FBI talked to the president-elect. The press has got to report it, and off and running goes the Russia collusion false narrative for the next 2 years. It was all to undermine President Trump and his presidency. And God bless Tulsi for sending this to the DOJ. I hope they dig into this. I mean, I hope that they go after this, because I think this is what it was, a conspiracy to undermine the first term of President Trump.
Yeah, but look, at the time, the mainstream media went with it, hook, line, and sinker. And of course, much of the media blasted it across the world. Not here, of course. We saw through it right away and reported accordingly. Yeah. But, we've been calling for accountability now since then. It's almost 10 years, Congressman. So it now falls to AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel on whether or not anything will actually be done about it. What are the odds?
Yeah. Well, I think they are digging into this, and I think that the facts are strong. Here's some other evidence I think is important. This was a setup when they went up there on January 6th to Trump Tower and gave President Trump this briefing. Yeah. It was a setup because a few weeks later they did the same thing.
They say that Obama might be the only one to get away with not getting in trouble. Everybody else don't got the presidential immunity. So that only makes sense. I see Obama getting away with this because he was the president. Like, they ain't chose anybody. And the other officials, they're going to have to lawyer up and see what's up. And right here, the story being publicized, that's the punishment. That's as worse as going to get for Obama, right? Just talking bad about him, and this is not going to play on mainstream media. So conservative, this is all you get. His name being embarrassed.
To Michael Flynn, and Jim Comey then bragged about it. He said, when we went to the White House, he said, we should have called the White House counsel. We should have let him know. We should have talked about this. He should have had a lawyer. All this should have been happening. But they just said, no, we thought it was a new administration. We could get in, we could get out, we could ask him questions. And there's even email correspondence amongst FBI agents from that time with General Flynn where they say, what's our goal? Are we trying to get him to lie? What's our objective here? They were setting up Michael Flynn just like they tried to set up the president of the United States. So this is what this whole operation was about. And again, let's hope that they dig into this and get all this information out there. And if they can prove that there's a crime, I hope they move forward with it.
Now, is this why they raided Mar-a-Lago in 2022? Because they wanted these documents that were sure to be declassified?
I don't know. I do think when you go back to this, what we're talking about in 2016, 2017, it's about a 30-day time period between that December 9th meeting, 2016, and when they go up to up to Trump Tower and do this briefing. I do think this is when the weaponization of government really began. This is when they said, forget the election. We're going to try to undermine his presidency now. Wow. It was bad enough what they tried to do spying on his campaign during the 2016 campaign, but now they're trying to undermine him after he's already won. So I do think that's when it all began.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting because the bulk of these declassified documents reveal that, number one, they knew that the dossier was fake. They knew it was made up. And also they revealed that the FBI did not really investigate former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for her private email server, right? So both of those things were happening at the same time, and it was during a contest between the two players, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley said under Comey's leadership, the FBI failed to perform fundamental investigative work and left key pieces of evidence on the cutting room floor. So is that the gist of this 10 years later, that they tried to take down Trump by making up and manufacturing this story that was not true? They knew it wasn't true, but they pushed it through and let it go viral across the world, while at the same time completely ignoring her use of a private server who she kept in her house. And that was quite dangerous. Tell us why.
Yeah, they spied on an opposing party's presidential campaign. And the evidence they used to get the warrant to spy on them was the Clinton campaign hired the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired Fusion GPS, a Democrat public relations firm, who hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, who put together the garbage that became the dossier. And then they used that dossier to go spy on the other party's campaign. Meanwhile, they didn't go after Hillary Clinton for her emails and everything else she did from the server. That's
all right. Okay. They keep talking a lot, but at the end of the day, what are we doing here? Let's move on.
That's what they did. And then when that didn't work, they said, oh, now we're going to undermine his presidency by concocting this story, going up to Trump Tower, giving him the defensive briefing that he's supposed to get. President Trump thinks that's what's happening, when in fact it's a setup, just like they set Michael Flynn up 3 weeks later. That's what this group did. And again, Tulsi now is highlighting the underlying intelligence and said there was nothing there. But the meeting in Obama's office, they all decided to change that. No. We're not going to send out that initial intelligence community assessment. We're going to put together a new one that will allow us to do what I just described.
Well, look, Hillary Clinton was ultimately accused of mishandling highly classified information while using a private email server set up in her home. In 2016, the FBI suggested to the DOJ that she should not face prosecution ahead of the presidential election. So there, I guess they found religion on not getting involved in a presidential election. But look, at the end of the day, this has been an exhausting 10 years because of all of these shenanigans, Congressman. You know that. You've been living it. So have I, and the audience as well. So how is anybody supposed to trust that there's actual, real, work going on and honest work, and it's not all politics? I mean, you have to remove the people, don't you? Who should be getting fired? Putting indictments and prosecutions aside, who needs to get fired and leave Congress for all of these lies?
Well, I do think that I've said this multiple times. I do think it's night and day compared to the kind of work you're seeing from Attorney General Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino at the Justice Department, compared to Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray. But this whole pattern that we've seen of going after President Trump, they spied on his campaign, then they tried to undermine his presidency with what I just described. Then it was the whole Mueller investigation for 2 years. Then in the 2020 election, it was the 51 former intel officials, Clapper, Brennan, signing this crazy letter saying it was a Russian information operation when they had the Hunter Biden laptop. They knew it was real. And then once that happens, when he's running again in 24, it's Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis, Jack Smith, and all the things they did.
They already fired a bunch of people or removed clearance so they cannot get official documents from the government. I think a lot's been done. And whoever hasn't been uncovered yet, their time is coming.
There, it has never stopped. But where it started is what Tulsi is now bringing forward. Stuff we suspected. We had some of the evidence, but she has even more. And that's why we need to go back there and dig into this, because this is where it all began.
Yeah, no, I understand. These are the two biggest scandals that anybody has ever seen. The first one being Russia collusion and a sitting president trying to stop an incoming president.
But let's enjoy our Saturday. Let me give a shout out to Casu El Sicario. Dímelo, what's going on? He wrote a nice comment over here. It says, yo, Noel, that's me. Here's a funny painting I made of Biden. He just posted it now, so you can use the image. Thank you so much, Castle. All right, my man from Castle Hill. Love you, my brother. No homo. Loved yesterday. Shout out. My girl loved it. Nice. So I'm going to take a look at your YouTube channel, take a look at the image. But definitely we got to keep it real and be honest. So many people love Biden, but let's make fun of it. Let's bring comedy back and be free to make fun of anybody, including myself. I don't give a damn. I'm living life, enjoying it. Now, this link, the PT is called Let's Go Brandon. Man, that guy's an idiot, Brandon. He thought Let's Go Brandon was a positive thing. But I'm going to take a look. And for now, I'm going to play the video and then come back to it. Oh, wait, what else we got here? Another comment. P.S. I think your channels are great. Thank you. I'm trying to build a couple of channels, just throwing things out there. Let's see what happens. Hopefully people love it and continue to watch. So, yes, stay up. And part of the reason I'm running this channel is something to do. I am retired. Therefore, this is my to-do list. All right. This is sort of like, quote unquote, my job. Enjoying live, playing videos, and talking to audience, putting my mind out there while I still can. So, yes, I want to keep up the good work. And you're my brother forever. Thank you, Casu El Sicario. You know, we over here. I'm going to continue playing these videos, informing you guys as best as possible. Hopefully you enjoy. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the Biden picture. Let's keep playing this video while I take a look. All right.
President Obama trying to stop Trump, and then the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental capacity and the use of the auto pen. Who the heck was running the country in the last 4 years? So now we hear from the former first son, Hunter Biden, returning to the limelight over the weekend in this new 3-hour interview. Here's one more of the bizarre takes on.
And by the way, whoever was running the auto pen was running the country. I think it needs to be said over and over again. Whoever was running the auto pen was running the country. That's it. You had authority to sign any document to free any criminal, to pass anything you want, just by using an auto pen. Don't even have to do anything. Hold a meeting, talk to the public, nothing. Just behind closed doors, do that auto pen trick. That's crazy.
What he is criticizing of President Trump's immigration policy. Watch this.
So people are really upset about illegal immigration. You. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table? Who do you think washes your dishes? If I became president, I would pick up the phone and call the president of El Salvador and say, you either send them back or I'm going to invade.
Well, I mean, it's hard to understand with all those F-bombs in there, Congressman, but your reaction to Hunter Biden now coming out and cursing everybody out.
And he's part of the reason people got to leave the Democratic Party. That's like one of their best. And that guy's a maniac, just dropping F-bomb, thinking it's normal, thinking it's cool, doing like video feedback, talking crazy like that, talking about crack cocaine and drinking. That man needs therapy. Insane.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to become president. I think he said if I become president, I was going to do something. I don't know that that's likely to happen in this country. And thank goodness for that. No, I mean, this is the left talking. He's part of the left. I mean, what President Trump is doing is exactly what he campaigned on. And the American people appreciate it. We now have a secure border, which we didn't have before. The American people appreciate President Trump, maybe more than any elected official in my lifetime, does what he said he was going to do, does exactly what the American people elected him to do. He said he was going to secure the border. He did. He said he was going to have NATO countries kick in more for defense. They are. He said Iran wasn't going to get a nuclear weapon. That operation was so successful there, and on. He said he was going to cut taxes. We did that. I mean, on and on it goes. So I appreciate that. I think the American people do. What they don't appreciate is Hunter Biden and some of the things his family did, his dad did while he was president.
Yeah. Oh, well, it certainly has been a very successful 6 months. Congrats to you and your colleagues. And certainly President Trump is riding a high on all of this. But Hunter Biden's cursing everybody out, I guess. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you. Jim Jordan is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. We'll be right back. Federal Reserve Chairman
Hunter should run for president. Hold on. Hunter should run for president. He will get my vote. Get that maniac in there. Let's do it. All right. Next topic, the Fed Chair Powell. Oh, man, he should get fired.
Jay Powell facing now a criminal referral as scrutiny ramps up over the $2.5 billion renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte did his own investigation outside of the building to gauge what progress has been made. Watch.
All right, everyone, they're here getting ready to put up some scaffolding. As I said, they have concrete that they're putting in, got some new steel that they're putting in, some new rebar. You know, I've spent my whole life in construction. It's very hard for me to believe that you could spend $2.5 billion just on concrete and steel and some of this other stuff that they're doing. Back at another gate, with middle of the day here, you'd think a lot of construction workers would be here. This is, I guess, entry and exit. I don't see any workers in this area. So we only saw 6 workers over there, only saw a handful over there. Where's Jerome Powell? Where did Jerome Powell put the $2.5 billion? This guy's supposed to be the money manager for the world's biggest economy, and it doesn't even look like he can run a construction site. So something doesn't smell right
Straight up wasting our money.
here. Something is very, very bad.
The president praised Pulte on X days before writing this. Congratulations to William Pulte on the outstanding job he's doing. Keep moving forward, William. Don't let the radical left weaklings stop you. Joining me now is the man himself, Federal Housing FHFA Director Bill Pulte. Bill, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What was your takeaway after what you saw yesterday? And you will be taking an official tour of the Fed building tomorrow with OMB Director Russ Vought and White House Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair. What are you expecting? What do you want to see?
Well, we have the most popular president in history. He just won a landslide mandate from the American people to be president of the United States. He's literally the most popular president we've ever had. But we have one guy in the form of Jerome Powell who just thinks that he is maybe more important than the economy and more important than everybody else by being a stubborn mule, as President Trump has called him. So it's a big problem, and Jerome Powell needs to resign. As it relates to the building, you know, they just built the Buffalo Bills Stadium for $2.2 billion, but somehow Jerome Powell has spent $2.5 billion. I think by the time it's done, it's going to be way higher than that. So I think there needs to be an investigation. I think that maybe he lied to Congress. I think things are going to get a lot worse for Jerome Powell, and it'd just be better off if he resigned.
You know, a lot of people worry when the independence of the Fed is shaken, and I want to get your take on what's cause to fire him. I mean, if he's spending $2.5 billion and he could actually account for that and prove why he needed that money to update these buildings, which is what he's saying, would you be able to use that as cause to actually fire him?
Well, I don't want to get any specifics, and I would refer you to the White House and to the lawyers. I would say, from my perspective, I do believe that there is for cause. But I can say personally that, you know, I've been in construction my whole life. I have never seen a construction site like this one. I mean, it really doesn't make any sense. They're taking down the marble. They're taking down the steel. I mean, these are very durable building materials. That's what they are. It doesn't make any sense what has gone on. And frankly, I think we need to look into who's behind these contracts, who knew what, when. How much involvement did Jerome Powell have, or how much involvement didn't he have? I mean, it's very concerning. You know, you got a guy who's supposedly in charge of our entire economy. I mean, I'm in charge of $7.8 trillion at Fannie and Freddie. You have an obligation. You know, if we have a building renovation at Fannie or Freddie, you know, that reflects poorly on you. And this guy, somehow he wants to get a hall pass for spending $2.5 billion on a government building. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think we're in the beginning innings of understanding what's going on here.
Well, it's really interesting because President Trump has talked so much about the debt and deficits that we face, $36 trillion in debt, $2 trillion in deficits, and he wants rates to go lower to lower the cost of this capital. But Chairman Powell keeps talking about the fact that his mandate is inflation and jobs growth. Shouldn't he also be looking at the cost of this capital, given the fact that we are spending more on interest just to hold on to this debt and carry it over than we do on defense spending?
Well, of course, but he should also be listening to President Trump. Not only is he the most popular president, but he's probably 100 times more successful in business and in life than Jerome Powell. But somehow Jerome Powell thinks that he knows better than the president of the United States, who's the best businessman that's ever been in the office. You know, one of the only ones who's ever been in office. It's totally crazy. But this is a guy who's very arrogant. He's very pompous. And frankly, I think he's going to resign, Maria. I think it's just a matter of time.
So you think he'll resign before May, which is when the term officially ends?
I do think so. I think that, you know, you look at what's going to be coming out, I think, with regard to this building, you look at what he's done. I mean, he's really holding the American people hostage with these rates being high. You know, I oversee Fannie and Freddie, Maria, and I can tell you it is absolutely hurting people's ability to get a mortgage. You know, you have the Fed funds rate at 4.5%. Meanwhile, inflation for the last 3 months is running at 1.6%. President Trump has absolutely crushed.
You know, Trump hired that guy, but the guy is not jumping on board with Trump's plan. He's not helping the country. He's not helping Trump. He's obviously part of the deep state, just trying to keep Trump down. So that man needs to go. And Trump just got to keep doing what he's doing, talking bad about him. Hopefully he'll feel bad enough to just move on in life. You know, he's a well-off guy. He can move on and do something else. Get out of here.
Inflation. I mean, when we had President Biden, this thing was totally out of control. President Trump, in a matter of months, did almost a miracle with getting inflation down. Yet the Fed funds rate is not reflecting that. So this is a big issue for the American people. I think the president will not stop. He should not stop. It's not in his nature to stop. He will win. The president will win, and this economy will boom. It's just I hope that it happens sooner rather than later.
And it is very true, Adam Johnson.
The Trump golden age coming through unstoppable. All right. If we get power to cooperate, to work with Trump, things are only going to get better. Cheaper gas prices, cheaper groceries. Let's be honest. Let's keep it real. Let's see what happens if Powell drops interest rates. You know, Trump's golden age is coming through no matter what. Let's go.
And that right now, the macro story is booming due to President Trump's policies. And you know, this priority that the president has on growth. The one area that is still shaky is housing. And,
well,
it's a supply issue, but it's also a rate issue.
Yes.
Bill's right on the rate.
And that's exactly the whole problem. You got to get rates down because you cut rates and all of a sudden home affordability goes up.
Right.
So that's the one sort of block in the wall that bothers all of us. And I think, you know, that's what we're hearing from Mr. Pulte.
Yeah,
so, yes.
You know, and he's complaining about President Trump's tariffs. Meanwhile, they just resulted in a budget surplus for the month of June.
And
Bill,
I'll tell you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maria, you know, one of the things that's crazy is that you have the situation where he says, oh, tariffs, you know, are causing inflation. He has no data to support it. Nothing. You know, he says, oh, we're going to be data dependent. He has no data.
All right. The man Powell, everybody's criticizing him. All the intelligent economic PhD levels. I think it's like 300 of them over there giving Trump advice. The worst advice. And it's like, how the hell did they get a job? These are the worst people to be running the country. But by the way, my name is Noel. Here with my co-host, who you just saw walking in the background, in our channel at Fisticuff. Vámonos. We're going to go outside and run the streets. Sí, montate. Dile hola a la gente. So, little by little, she's going to come and sit down. That's my co-host. And it is what it is. That's how it is. I hope you enjoyed the video so far. Make sure you give it a thumbs up before you go anywhere. She wants to go outside, which hopefully definitely going to get in my car. I bought a Tesla Model Y, but now I got to pay a $200 electric fee. I don't even know why, but that's part of owning an electric car. Definitely get yourself one, the best car out there, better than a Toyota Corolla. Because everybody kept telling me, get a Corolla. Those are nice cars. Dominicans get nothing but Corollas. But I'm like, why do I have to get a Corolla? I don't want to. I'm getting a Tesla Model Y. It's an iPhone on wheels. Because if you don't know, now you know. It's nice that you can just sit there and the car drives itself. And yes, I experience it. I trust it. And I'll do it every time I get in the car. Let it drive me everywhere I want to go. But in any case, that's the news for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. I want to see if I can go step outside and see what's going on. It is like 90 degrees out there. It's like a heat coming through here at PA. Insane. But that shouldn't stop you from going outside. So let me get out of here. Shout out to you, Casu El Sicario. Big shout out for commenting below. Anybody else watching, go ahead and comment. And we're going to keep it going. The trick to life is never give up. Enjoy. With that said, see you in the next video. Peace.